Good evening. Greetings and welcome to the National 4-H Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Please be seated. Author David McCullough once said, "Real success is finding your life work in the work that you love." In 1914, when Senator Hoke Smith of Georgia and Representative A.F. Lever of South Carolina introduced the Smith-Lever Act, I wonder if they dreamed that 100 years later, we would be here celebrating the accomplishments of outstanding volunteers, financial supporters, and extension professionals. In 1914, Smith-Lever Act was signed into law, establishing the Cooperative Extension Service that provides funding for outreach endeavors at land-grant universities, which were authorized by the Federal Morrill Act of 1862. The Smith-Lever Act stated, in order to aid in diffusing among the people of the United States useful and practical information on subjects relating to agriculture, uses of solar energy with respect to agriculture, home economics, and rural energy, and to encourage the application of the same, there may be continued or inaugurated in connection with the college or colleges within each state, territory, or possession. Wow. Now we fast forward over 100 years, and I would think that Smith and Lever would enjoy the outcome of their visionary thinking as we celebrate tonight's laureates for their lifetime contributions to 4-H. As we begin, let me share with you a short history of the National 4-H Hall of Fame. It began in 2002 when the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents, the National 4-H Council, and 4-H headquarters partnered to create this honor during 4-H's centennial year. The National 4-H Hall of Fame was established to recognize 4-H volunteers, financial supporters, staff, and pioneers who have made major contributions within the 4-H movement at the local, state, or national levels. Each land-grant university from across the nation may nominate one candidate per year, while the founding partners of the Hall of Fame may nominate up to 3 candidates. These candidates represent 4-H in the broadest sense. Candidates may have been a 4-H volunteer, a financial supporter, an extension specialist, or a staff employee who impacted 4-H through his or her significant contributions of time, energy, or financial resources to 4-H and its many members. Tonight's ceremony introduces the members of the 2014 National 4-H Hall of Fame class. However, let us first take a few moments to welcome a few of our past National 4-H Hall of Fame members that have joined us for the 2014 ceremony. Would all National 4-H Hall of Fame members please stand to be recognized? Merle Miller, would you please wave for special applause, as unfortunately last year you were unable to attend your induction ceremony, but we welcome you here with us tonight. Thank you all for attending and spending your evening with us this evening. Also, let us please take a few moments to remember the National 4-H Hall of Fame members that may have passed since our last time together. We thank them and all of our laureates for the lasting memories they have bestowed upon each one of us. Now, if you would please join me in honoring our 2014 laureates as they enter the auditorium at this time. Laureates, you may be seated. Good evening and welcome again to the National 4-H Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Declan Wienheisen, a proud 10-year Indiana 4-H member from Greenwood, Indiana, and now a Boilermaker at the Purdue University, studying food science. I was an active member in 4-H Horse and Pony. I served as a 4-H ambassador and served as a council member on one of the Indiana State Junior Leader Conferences. I also served as Master of Ceremonies for both the 2013 and 2014 Purdue 4-H Roundup. Tonight, it is my honor to guide this year's event as the Master of Ceremonies as we recognize our 2014 laureates to the National 4-H Hall of Fame. As we begin, let us thank my 4-H friend, Elena Alderman, a Georgia 4-H member who graciously entertained us before this ceremony and who has been involved in the 4-H Performing Arts Project for over 6 years. A current member of the Georgia 4-H Clovers and Company, Elena sang the national anthem at the Centennial Convocation of Cooperative Extension in Washington, D.C. this past May. We look forward to Elena's additional performance later in the program, following our salute to the laureates. At this time, let us please invite Jeanette Ray Keywood, the chair of the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents, National 4-H Hall of Fame Task Force, to share a few words with us this evening. Jeanette?
Good evening. I am truly honored to recognize the distinguished group of laureates here today, and I welcome each of their family members, friends, and colleagues that are here to honor them. On behalf of the 3 partners that sponsor this event, 4-H National Headquarters, National 4-H Council, and the National 4-H Association of Extension 4-H Agents, the National 4-H Hall of Fame Task Force congratulates each of you on this distinguished honor. Please enjoy the evening and make this a special one. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you again, Jeanette, for serving as representative of the National 4-H Hall of Fame Task Force. If you would please extend our thanks to the entire task force on their dedicated work for this ceremony tonight. Let us now welcome the extension partners responsible for the National 4-H Hall of Fame and allow each to share her welcome to the 2014 laureates, families, and guests. First this evening, allow me to introduce Dr. Lisa Loxman, the Director for Families, 4-H, and Nutrition in the National Institute of Food and Agriculture at the United States Department of Agriculture. Dr. Loxman?
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to the laureates, the Hall of Fame recipients this evening, and to all of their families and friends who are here on behalf of the United States Department of Agriculture. But I want to do a shout out right now to Dr. Sunny Ramaswamy, the Director for the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, because he's in attendance. And to me, that signifies the strong partnership that the federal government has with the 4-H Youth Development Program. This is National 4-H Week. I was a 4-H'er. My parents were 4-H'ers. My grandmother was a long-term clothing leader, and it's been an important part of my life. Many of these laureates know, some of you influenced me being where I'm at right now, working here at the federal government on behalf of the 4-H Youth Development Program. And I just want to say thank you for that opportunity, and I'm so pleased to be able to be here because last year we had a government shutdown, and I had to sit in the audience on my fingers and not applaud too loudly for those of you who were in attendance last year. It's amazing to be a part of a unique public-private partnership that 4-H has, but you all know that what happens is the legacy and the impact that you make keep giving because we pay it forward in the 4-H program. And I want to thank you, and I'm going to keep paying it forward. I'm going to challenge everybody in the audience to do the same thing because we're here to make a difference and to make the best better. So thank you for what you've done to make the best better. On behalf of the 4-H program federally, thanks. Bye.
Thank you again, Dr. Loxman, for those kind words to all of the guests and laureates tonight. Next, help me welcome Pam Van Horn, the 2014 president of the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents, to the stage. Pam?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure it is to serve the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents tonight as we honor the 14 newly selected National 4-H Hall of Fame laureates. What a tribute we bestow upon former 4-H members, volunteers, and colleagues whom have given of themselves generously for the well-being of 4-H's next generations of youth and volunteers across this great nation. Thank you, Dr. Loxman, for your words of wisdom from the National 4-H headquarters, 4-H's connection with the United States Department of Agriculture. It is with the 4-H headquarters our thoughts come together with a like purpose of positive youth development. Christina Alford, thank you for allowing the ceremony to happen in this lovely auditorium at the National 4-H Center. This location, many believe, is 4-H's national home, an essential place for historical and treasured memories. We look forward to listening to your comments as you carry the 4-H banner for financial support across the nation. Family, friends, and coworkers, thank you for attending as we share this memorable evening with our laureates. This is truly a tremendous occasion for our honorees as we show our appreciation and gratitude for their life's contributions to 4-H. Dear laureates, what a joy it is to meet you all in person. I feel like I know each of you already because I've had the privilege of reading the Hall of Fame applications from front to back many times. And boy, am I impressed. Why am I impressed? Because this group of awesome professionals and volunteers has spent hours reaching out to underserved populations, locally and abroad, creating new 4-H programs to inspire rural, urban, and suburban youth, bringing communities together for expanding educational opportunities, and finding a passion in their lives. I'm humbled, as your success has not been an easy task. As a 4-H professional, I can probably identify with many of our laureates, as I know these innovative programs, which have become 4-H hallmarks, probably had modest beginnings and were challenged by many saying, "We've never done it that way," or "That's not 4-H," or my all-time favorite, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." But laureates, you didn't listen to that. Your perseverance paid off. You would not let failure be your fate as you lovingly pushed aside the negative comments and persisted on towards your goal, whether it was reaching new audiences or securing 4-H's place in the community. Today, many of your ideas have become the standard of doing 4-H work. Our 4-H audiences would not believe it today if someone had ever thought, "That couldn't be done." You paved the way for millions of young and young at heart 4-H members, volunteers, and professionals. You took the road less traveled. Congratulations. As a leader, you stood alone, believing in your passion until it became reality, and kindly reached across that imaginary fence or wall, offering your hand to those naysayers, and then worked side by side many of those who once opposed the ideas and changed lives of people, volunteers, and cultures. During this ceremony this evening, we pay our deepest respect to you for believing in an idea, working until it was established, and giving of yourself to extend 4-H nationally and globally. Thank you for your leadership and passion. Congratulations for a job well done.
Thank you, President Van Horn, for your remarks to honor our laureates this evening. And now, finally, I would like to introduce, representing the National 4-H Council, we have Christina Alford, Executive Vice President of the Council.
Jennifer extends her deepest condolences for not being here tonight. She is celebrating her anniversary, and so she is on her way. But on behalf of both of us, it is extremely humbling to be here. It's extremely humbling to be a part of tonight. And to all of you that are here at the center, what Jennifer and I would like to say is welcome home. We're so happy that you're here in the nation's capital. We're so happy to be here and to celebrate tonight on behalf of all of you. But as I listened to Pam and Lisa and their remarks, the one thing that stood out to me more than anything else is that we owe you all a great deal of gratitude for the work that you've done on behalf of children through the extent of your careers. And it's very, very humbling to know that we're now standing on the shoulders of the great trailblazers that have come before us. And because of you, we'll be able to bring 4-H to many millions of more children who don't even know 4-H yet. And so as we look forward to the work that has to be done, the work that will be done, the work that we can do together with USDA and Cooperative Extension, it's because of you that we'll be successful. So for that, everyone at National 4-H Council would like to say thank you. Welcome home. We hope you enjoyed tonight. We cannot wait to hear your stories, and we are extremely grateful that we've had the opportunity to celebrate tonight with all of you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you again, Ms. Alford, for the inspiring words you have given to our laureates and guests this evening. Please join me in thanking all of our partners once more for their contribution to this wonderful evening and their warm remarks for us. As we move forward with tonight's celebration, we will meet each one of the 14 honored members of the National 4-H Hall of Fame class. Once introduced, each laureate will have an opportunity to share his or her own contribution to the 4-H movement. Each story will add to the rich tapestry of 4-H from across our great nation. You might laugh or shed a tear or be touched by the many hours these laureates have contributed to 4-H, its youth, and its many volunteers. Please join me in saluting the 2014 National 4-H Hall of Fame laureates. For our first National 4-H Hall of Fame member, success comes through hard work and a healthy dose of leadership skills. From the ability to think critically, communicate with others, and by trying new ideas. Roger M. Barr of New Jersey was a master at taking an innovative concept, marketing an idea, and gaining support from local and public officials. He was outstanding in creating educational opportunities for youth that integrated traditional and new audiences, collaborating with Boy and Girl Scouts organizations, and expanding the Horseless Horse Project to include the horse arts, clothing and tack exchanges, and a horse film festival. Roger's success can be measured by the increased number of 4-H clubs from 15 to 64, volunteers from 25 to 250, and club members from only 325 to over 1,500, while reaching more than 3,000 Bergen County youth annually. Still honoring youth today, nearly $60,000 of scholarship funding has been awarded to graduating senior 4-H members through the Roger M. Barr 4-H Scholarship. Naturally, the scholarships are awarded on the basis of a young person's exceptional leadership, character, and citizenship skills, all of which are demonstrated by the namesake of this scholarship. New Jersey 4-H is honored to have nominated Roger M. Barr. Please join me in congratulating Roger.
Okay, first I'd like to thank the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents, the National 4-H Council, and National 4-H Headquarters at the USDA for their efforts in establishing the National 4-H Hall of Fame. I have to thank Raleigh Winters, the state 4-H leader who hired me from New Jersey in 1967. He took a chance and hired me, an industrial management and accounting major at NYU with a master's in business administration from Fairleigh Dickinson University, to become the Bergen County 4-H agent. And to Fran Mansue, the assistant state 4-H leader, for giving me the latitude to develop and run an innovative program in Bergen County. I also have to thank Ted Blum. Ted was the Somerset County 4-H agent who truly inspired me to become a 4-H agent. He was a great friend and a mentor. And to Dr. Joel Sabitsky, of the National 4-H Program Leader at the USDA, for his kind nomination. All four of those individuals are Hall of Fame members. But I was blessed with a large number of outstanding 4-H leaders who took their time and talents and worked above and beyond the normal call of duty to work with me to develop new programs, new events, and new resource materials for the 4-H program. I've also been blessed with many outstanding 4-Hers and teens who went on to win county, state, and national honors, and many of them today are giving their time and expertise back to the 4-H program. My wife, Betsy, I thank you very much. I met Betsy at a picnic when she was 13 and I was 15. I saw her picture in the paper the following week, and I was a surprise visitor to her 4-H fair. We walked around holding hands around the fairgrounds. We've done so for the last 64 years. And she did whatever was necessary for me to do the best job possible. And at times, I had some wonderful support in the office with secretaries and assistants. Now, who in the world would think a city boy from Paterson, New Jersey, an old industrial town in the Northeast, would ever be inducted into the National 4-H Hall of Fame? My success was due to the efforts of many, many people, and I was just a catalyst to make the best better. My goal was to teach the kids in 4-H and at 4-H camp to learn life skills, but to have a fun experience doing that. My 3 children were in 4-H, and I know they learned many life skills. I know they had some difficult times because they were the agent's kids, but I felt it all helped prepare them for life ahead of them. My children are here, my grandchildren are here, so 3 of my granddaughters, and I want to have a great-grandson this year. All right, and he's here too. All right. The role of the 4-H agent to me was not a job, but a lifestyle. It did not end after 8 hours or when I left the office, but it was a 24/7. So thanks to my family, my friends, and the 4-Hers are here today for all you have helped make me achieve this most distinguished honor. And one thing I have to say is Rutgers is now in the Big Ten, so go Rutgers.
4-H was the foundation that provided Mary Lou Brewer of New York the passion of a lifetime. Her 4-H experiences began when she joined a 4-H club and further continued through an unwavering career with the Cornell Cooperative Extension Service. Known for her ability to bring people together, Mary Lou initiated a planning process that brought together county extension staff, college faculty, volunteers, and program donors whose combined efforts resulted in the first strategic plan for the New York State 4-H program. A master collaborator, Mary Lou fostered strong relationships with faculty members who contributed directly to youth issues and created new educational materials. From the modest beginning as a 4-H club member to 4-H educator, to becoming the executive director and state 4-H leader, Mary Lou's tenure hallmarked a commitment to being a visionary program planner, a leading collaborator, and resources developer. Mary Lou made a lasting impact on the New York State 4-H program through her leadership for change. New York 4-H is honored to have nominated Mary Lou Brewer. Let us now recognize Mary Lou for her many contributions.
Thank you very much. You know, it's a pleasure to be here and to be honored as a member of the National 4-H Hall of Fame. I would also like to thank the committee and the group of people who worked hard to put this on. It's also good to see friends and coworkers, former coworkers, and to have my family present. I started as a 4-H member in Livingston County, which is in western New York, and I was active in many phases of that program. After college, I started as a 4-H agent in Madison County, which is in central New York. And that was a very good choice for many reasons. Let me share those with you. But let me share one of those with you, being, while I was doing a 4-H leader training for leaders and members, there was a leader present who recently returned to his home area from Cornell University. One of the teenage boys in his group poked him and said, "Now there's a girl for you." We celebrated our 58th wedding anniversary last month. While in Madison County, we had 4 children. They were all involved in many phases of the 4-H program. If you would ask them, they would indicate that they were dragged, volunteered to all kinds of programs and events. After 20 years in Oneida County, I moved next door to Oneida County and was program leader and county coordinator. Joined the 4-H staff in '82, became 4-H state leader in '83. Wonderful career. You know, as you look back on the life of 4-H, what does make the difference? Is it the great variety of people that you work with? The young people that you work with from all walks of life? The dedication of an army of volunteer leaders? The interaction and support of coworkers? And the faculty from land-grant institutions throughout the U.S., and all of the supporters and collaborators that we have that work with young people. 4-H is changing, and it must change. Examine the changes that have happened in our lifetime. And we must constantly examine and update our message in 4-H. But yet the basic core principles of the program that 4-H is founded on will remain the same. You know, it is an honor to be here and to become a member of the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Thank you.
On Fire with Burns was the campaign slogan for the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents, President-elect in Chicago. Who could forget not only that hard-fought campaign, but especially the successful candidate, Errol G. Burns, with those red-hot fire sticks. Taking the helm during the mid-'80s, the nation was confronting the turbulent times of the farm crisis. NAE 4-HA's membership was on the decline, and there was a sense of gloom across the realm of extension. Errol's NAE 4-HA presidency looked bleak. However, he was prepared for the challenges. Under Errol's leadership, NAE 4-HA set the stage for successful in-depth strategic planning effort for professional development. The results of the strategic plan remain today as a tribute for professional development principles and its membership. A 30-year professional, Errol dedicated his professional life with a deep personal loyalty and energy to 4-H. His passion was bringing together diverse individuals and viewpoints to collectively solve problems and create buy-in. a former Utah, Kansas, and Illinois Extension professional, NAE 4-HA, is pleased to have nominated Errol G. Burns for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Let us extend our congratulations.
I guess I'll talk to it this way. I just want to spend the time I have to thank people who supported me throughout my career. I was not a 4-H'er, but I became one. And it was a great experience, but mostly, why am I even here? That's what I've asked myself a lot of times. Why did they even nominate me? Why did they even know that I did anything? Well, I guess most people paid more attention to it than I did. I'm not sure, but at any rate, if I've had any success at all in this particular profession, I have mostly one person, maybe 5. You have no idea what my spouse has put up with over the years, what she's done to support me in my role as a 4-H agent, specialist, and as an NAE 4-HA officer. Leaving in the middle of the night over snow-packed roads and getting a flat tire and leaving her sitting while I got on the plane trying to figure out how she'd get home by herself. Now that takes a lot of support, and I appreciate that. And our kids were always supportive as well. But then I moved to Kansas from Utah, and I was wanting to run for office, and the Kansas 4-H Agents Association supported me totally, even though I was new to them and they didn't have any idea if I had any skills or not. But they did support me for that. And then we moved to Illinois. Same way, we were accepted and supported. Sherry Siebold from Illinois is the only reason that I'm here today, because of all the things you have to do to apply and so forth. She badgered me enough to get me to do what I had to do. She and Susan Taylor are here tonight to support me, as well as Darlene, my wife, and my daughter Marlise. And we're grateful for that. But Pam, I worked with Pam a lot. And actually with Lisa, I don't call her doctor, but anyway, with Lisa during that time. So Jim Rutledge, he's been my supporter forever. And Ollie Hill, I was a Western Region Director with Ollie, and he taught me everything I needed to know to move forward. And then Pat Trotter was the president of NAE 4-HA when I was the treasurer. And we had some good times, didn't we, Pat? I was trying to keep her from spending all the money we had, which wasn't much. Anyway, thank you very much for this opportunity and for all the people who supported me through the years in what I've tried to do. I hope that I was worthy of it. Thank you.
A dedicated professional and huge sports fan, Terril D. Faul from Louisiana planned and organized the first 4-H day with the LSU Tigers in 2003, and thus created an annual event. Reaching more than 2,000 4-H members and families during the tailgate, it's possible the LSU cheerleaders, Golden Girls, and Mike the Tiger might join the party. The impact of the day is small compared to the influence Terril has had on countless individuals across Louisiana through his 41-year 4-H career. Terril's innovation and cutting-edge programs have expanded the 4-H outreach in Louisiana. Under his leadership, Louisiana initiated the 4-H license plate, organized a day at the Capitol where members visit firsthand with policymakers, and hosted the 4-H dinner at the governor's mansion, providing opportunities for outstanding 4-H members to dine with the governor and legislators. As an ever-present servant leader involved with many organizations, Terril continues to invest in 4-H today as a volunteer. Louisiana is pleased to have nominated Terril D. Faul for the National 4-H Hall of Fame Congratulations, Terril.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with so many people who not only love 4-H, but care for 4-H. As I stand before you here, I think of my parents, Maurice and Virginia Faul from Church Point, Louisiana. Two hard-working people, but people in the family who taught my brother and two sisters and I principles of 4-H, like team effort, like helping other people. You see, we're members of a very large family. My father was the oldest of 18 children. Mom was one of 11, and we have 85 first cousins, so you cannot mess up. So we really it was a tight-knit group and a great family. My father really believed in the Extension Service and Mr. Sam Furman, who was the county agent there. And both of them put me in the direction to become a 4-H agent. So after college, I interviewed with Mr. Murphy Vayon, the county agent and parish chair in Vermilion Parish, for the 4-H position. And it was a great interview, and he told me, this is a great job, but Terril, you won't get rich in this job, but you will meet some of the finest people you will ever meet in your entire lifetime. And I know that throughout my career, and even today, that is so true. 4-H people are outstanding individuals. And I realize and understand that I've had an opportunity to really work with some unbelievable and terrific 4-H members and 4-H families, some very capable 4-H volunteers, and some really dedicated and unforgiving, workable co-workers who were always willing to lend their expertise and their time and effort for the benefit of the 4-H members in Louisiana and for me also. It's a great honor to work in Louisiana for 4-H. When I first went to work in Vermilion Parish, I worked there 6 months. And then I was drafted, and I spent 1 year in Vietnam. And while I was there, I certainly received letters and cards from my parents and family. But I also received a lot of cards and letters from 4-H members and 4-H clubs in Vermilion. Then I knew I was part of something very special. To work in Louisiana, we have a great 4-H program in Louisiana. And it's a lot of fun and excitement because we really have a lot of support in the state with youth and adults. And we're so fortunate to have a great school system that also supports us in carrying out our 4-H programs. And I always remember some of the events. I never slept the night before. In fact, I didn't sleep last night either. But it's an exciting time to be in 4-H. You know, I have two really special families, my personal family and, of course, my 4-H family. And I'd just like to introduce some of them that are here. I have Priscilla and Parker Thompson, my sister from Georgia. I have Jermaine from Lafayette. I have her son, my nephew Drew, and Darlene from Lafayette. Then I have some special friends here who are like part of the family, and they call me Papa T. And that's Todd Tarifa from Abita Springs and his wife Rachel, and Cooper and Allie. And then Leslie Moran, I think Leslie's here. Leslie's a state 4-H specialist, event coordinator. And a good friend, Ann Keene, who's a 4-H volunteer, and she's a member of the Hall of Fame here. And I'd also like to thank, and especially thank Janet Fox, who's here, and Mark Tassan, who's here. And Mark's here with his wife, Janet, and I can't tell which daughter's here, Mark, but Emily or Lindsay. But I'd like to thank both of them because, you know, it's an honor to be here, but someone needs to have faith in you and put the honor together in order for you to be recognized. And Mark and Janet did that, and I appreciate that very much. I also was not a 4-H member, but that was one of the things, not being a 4-H member, that made me strive to do as much as I could for all the 4-H members I could. And to this day, and just as Mr. Vayon first said, and I've always carried me with that, some of the most outstanding people you can ever meet are in 4-H and in this room today. Thank you.
Kansas 4-H could not have found a more loyal advocate, gifted leader, or true believer in the skills 4-H teaches than Marilyn Pence Galle. Throughout her life, Marilyn has lived the 4-H philosophy of learning by doing. An adventuresome 11-year 4-H member, Marilyn explored poultry judging and later became a member of the Kansas State University poultry judging team. 4-H skills opened doors for her as the only female competitor nationally. Later in life, it was those same poultry skills that created the family business, CKH Incorporated, a turkey hatchery where Marilyn served as the chief financial officer. Having gained much from 4-H, Marilyn generously gave back to 4-H by volunteering time, serving as a 4-H club and project leader, and as a member of the Kansas 4-H Foundation Board of Trustees. A 36-year donor, Marilyn provided leadership for 2 multi-million-dollar campaigns, benefiting the National 4-H Center, the Rock Springs 4-H Center, and Kansas 4-H. Kansas 4-H is delighted to have nominated Marilyn Pence Galle for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Let us congratulate Marilyn this evening.
It's really great to be back here in this wonderful facility that we have for National 4-H. This is my 5th time here, but the first time I was here was in 1954 when I was a conference delegate, and they brought us out here to look at it and see it, but we couldn't use it because the Navy was still using it. And I think it was 1959, maybe I see anyway, that Eisenhower cut the ribbon to make this be the National 4-H Center, and we could have use of it. I joined 4-H when I was 10 in a club that my father had started several years before, or helped start, and I'm so glad he did because it was a basis for me gaining a lot of life skills and friendships and just all kinds of experiences that I'm really thankful for. I would like to recognize 2 individuals who have done a lot for me and Kansas 4-H. Both of them have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame. One was J. Errol Johnson, our state 4-H leader, who also founded our Kansas 4-H Foundation and made it off to a good start to what it is today. The other one was Merle Eystone, who was my county 4-H agent. If it hadn't been for him, I probably wouldn't have gotten into so many things and gotten so involved. So I was really proud of them when they were inducted into the Hall of Fame. I met my husband Nelson over 60 years ago at our Rock Springs 4-H Center. That seems to be the theme tonight. Everybody met there. It was over 60 years ago, and then we had a regular 4-H family. We had 3 sons who were all in 4-H for 11 years. One of them was here for national conference and then was on the planning committee for next year, so he's also been in this facility. Then I would also like to express my thanks to those who nominated me. I'm humbled by their belief in me and that they did it. And the one who put a lot of work into it is Rhonda Atkinson. There she is down here. She found out more about me. I didn't know they'd done this till it was done. And you know, my obituary's already written. I told the kids, if you want to know anything, look there, because I sure couldn't tell her. It's surprising what they can find out about you. I just want to share one of, it kind of shows where the grassroots part of 4-H is important. Probably one of the most fun things I've done is be a foods project leader in our local club. And I had boys cooking class, about 6th grade boys. And they came after school, and of course they're anxious to get busy. My main goal was just to teach them to read directions and to be more at home in the kitchen. We made cake mixes, cookies. We carved carrots into race cars and things like that. And they thoroughly enjoyed doing that, eating that. And then, of course, they had to clean the kitchen before they went out to play football, and that happened very, very fast. I just hope that I have helped some youth along in their 4-H experiences so that they gain things like I did, and I just really hope we keep 4-H going as one of the best organizations we have in this country for developing youth and leaders. So, thank you.
After an assistant county agent role, an area 4-H agent position in Colorado, Oliver Hill's life passion was ignited for kids, volunteer leaders, and livestock. Transferring to the University of Wyoming as the assistant state 4-H leader, Ollie's focus was on 4-H livestock and equine projects, along with developing the 4-H Foundation. It was his knowledge in equine science that promoted Ollie to national involvement, serving on the National 4-H Horse Development Committee. He was responsible for supervising and conducting national and regional competitive events at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, along with the National Western Stock Show in Denver, Colorado. As the director of the Wyoming 4-H Foundation, Ollie participated in a 2-year in-depth training on fundraising and ultimately secured the funds to build the indoor arena in Laramie that serves college students while also hosting 4-H events. In 1985, Ollie led NAE 4-HA as its president, mentoring professionalism among its members. Today, Ollie still touches lives by writing books. Wyoming 4-H and NAE 4-HA are thrilled to have nominated Oliver Hill for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Please help me in showing our appreciation.
What an outstanding young man emceeing tonight, wouldn't you say? Yes, that's part of everyone's job here, is to see these young people grow and mature and be outstanding examples of what 4-H is all about. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you, everybody here, for this wonderful, humbling experience. It is wonderful to be back here at our national home and with the 4-H family. You know, each of us has some challenges, if you'll let me say, along the trail, okay? And whether it's with jobs, administration, councils, volunteers, whoever, parents, you know, we all have some challenges along the way. But there are two, I don't know if any of you would identify with these or not, but number one challenge is computers. Anybody have a challenge there? Number two challenge for me on this trip was learning how to tie a necktie all over again. So you see, it's sure wonderful to be here. So many thank yous are due. So many thank yous are due. And first, my family. They have been so patient, so understanding, and so supportive for many, many years. I think Jennifer added up some 45 years since being a little kid on through a career. You know, they've done chores, they've helped out in any number of ways. I don't know that we ever left anybody in a stranded car, Errol, but there are many of those similar circumstances and situations. You know, that's a real plus, but it's a challenge to balance family, job, and kids. I see the heart of this thing, at least to me, it's all about kids. It's all about kids. Seeing them smile when they learn something new. Seeing them be inspired when we encourage them. Seeing them gain confidence with more and more smiles. Seeing them grow within themselves. Seeing them grow up, go to college, military, or whatever, but they go forth from 4-H. It's wonderful seeing them get married and having families of their own. It's wonderful to see them grow up and be part of the Extension 4-H family. Now, isn't that really rewarding? To me, it surely is. And having a former 4-H'er still call me Pa Hill. You mark those on the wall, right? Pa Hill. Well, it was even more rewarding to see her become an Extension educator and working so diligently with 4-H kids today. Now, our guidepost, if you know what I mean, if you know the way, light it for others. And I think that's what everyone here has done, particularly the laureates. Many thank yous. One thing here. Several of you may have seen this. It says to make the best better. It says there's a picture of the clover and two young people. And it says 3 cents on there. It's a U.S. postage stamp from 1952, and it's still in my pocket, okay? So many thank yous. My wife, Joycey, the real pillar of our family. Joycey, there she is. Thank you, dear. To our son, Lynn, and his wife, Lori, and our 4 grandsons. To our daughter, Crystal. To NAE 4HA, Jennifer, wherever you are. There she is. Am I supposed to stop? To the Extension family, all of my colleagues, National 4-H Council, Jim Kaler, so many of you to pat on the back and thanks. To, you have made a difference. We've all made a difference, and I think we can all be proud of that. The fellow laureates, it's wonderful to have a reunion with many of you. We haven't seen some of you for several years. Yes, maybe more than that. Congratulations, and God may bless you, your families and friends. And I will close with my tag when I autograph one of our books. And it says, wishing you and yours many happy trails. Thank you so much.
Norman E. Johnson, the director of the National 4-H Supply Service from 1953 through 1990, was a 4-H marketing pioneer. He was instrumental in permanently affixing the 4-H clover to millions of products, everyday items that 4-H members, leaders, and agents were proud to wear to promote 4-H across the nation. Through Norman's leadership and marketing skills, the 4-H logo became a brand recognized nationwide. His forethought broadened the influence and recognition of the 4-H clover, which additionally increased the supply service's revenue for expanding product lines. Norman also expanded the 4-H supply catalog's value by adding the educational materials to product lines. This was a first offering of educational products for any nonprofit organization. The combination of all products into one location was a hit with extension agents and volunteers, and the idea increased public identification. Wanting a grassroots understanding of 4-H, Norman became a 4-H volunteer in Deerfield, Illinois. This experience augmented his knowledge of 4-H policies and provided him with future product ideas. The National 4-H Council is happy to have nominated Norman E. Johnson for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Norman.
As you will hear from my presentation, that being in the position of manager of the National 4-H Supply Service put me in touch with the whole extension system, from USDA to the state staffs, to the county staffs, and to a lot of the local leaders and members. I accepted this as good news. I do feel that I need to make some comments. I enjoyed my 32 years with the National 4-H Council. I actually started back when in the Chicago area it was known as the National Committee on Boys and Girls Club Work. That's when I joined the organization. Then we merged with the organization down in Maryland and became the National 4-H Council. As manager of the supply service, it gave me the opportunity to work with the extension staffs at USDA, most of the state offices, a lot of the county offices, and also a lot of the local leaders and members. One of the extra activities that I was privileged to handle was the National 4-H Council at the Hilton Hotel in Chicago. I used to work with the hotel staff to set up our National 4-H Council, as well as with many of the donor organizations who, those of you who were or are involved, realize the national award programs, and one of the crowning events for those programs that were sponsored by the various donors was the National 4-H National 4-H Congress held in Chicago. So it gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of the donor representatives. And believe me, 4-H was a good and primary interest in a lot of the donor representatives from the big corporations here in the United States. And I always felt that 4-H was in a very enviable position by many youth organizations to be having that relationship with a lot of the big, not only agricultural companies, but many of the other companies here in the United States. So with that, I say thanks for the honor to be one of your laureates this year. Thank you very much.
Dan A. Klingenberg of Arizona says, 4-H has been an important part of my life. It has given me the character, leadership, and community spirit to support my many diverse endeavors. An active 4-H club member, Dan attended the National 4-H Congress, National 4-H Conference, and was awarded a Standard Oil Company 4-H scholarship. During 1959 and 1960, Dan was the sole recipient of a National 4-H Center Fellowship and spent the year guiding parts of the Citizenship Short Course Program, giving tours of the nation's capital to 4-H club members. Returning to Arizona, Dan's career began as a county 4-H extension agent. He later joined the Peace Corps under the leadership of the National 4-H Club Foundation and focused on developing 5V clubs in rural Venezuela. With a tradition of giving back, Dan contributes to 4-H and the community. His favorite charity is the Arizona 4-H Youth Foundation, where he has unselfishly devoted 15 years of raising funds for Arizona 4-H youth. Arizona 4-H is proud to have nominated Dan A. Klingenberg. Join me in extending our congratulations to Dan.
When I was in the room upstairs, I counted the number of years that have passed since I became a 4-H member, 65. So it's a long time ago that I started. And I'm not going to try tonight to give you all that I've experienced and done with 4-H, but I'd like to give a tribute to two laureates who had an important part of my history with 4-H. One is Graham P. Wright, who was the extension director of 4-H at the University of Arizona, and also, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2010. The other one is Warren Schmidt, whose son is here tonight. He was responsible for international programs here at the 4-H Foundation, now called the 4-H Council, sorry. And both of these gentlemen have had an important part of my life. Graham Wright, one day met me in the hall at the University of Arizona when I was a sophomore. And he said, Dan, I know your background in 4-H. Would you like to apply to be a national fellow at the 4-H Center in Washington? Well, I knew what that would be like because I had been a 4-H a representative of Arizona to the National 4-H Conference the previous year. So I said yes. So he helped me with the application. I never thought I'd get it, and sure enough, I did. And I spent a delightful year here at the 4-H Center as the first fellowship for the 4-H Center, giving tours of Washington to 4-H kids, and I've seen several running around here, so it brings back a lot of memories. I helped set up the first citizenship short course here at this center, and also I stayed for a year and was able to go to the University of Maryland for my junior year in college. So the 4-H Center has special meaning to me. One of the highlights that I had while at the 4-H Center was meeting a lot of International Farm Youth Exchange students or participants. Today I think it's called the International 4-H Youth Exchange, but it still has some international flavor to it, and I was really interested in going to be an IFE, but I couldn't because Arizona didn't have a program, Lisa. Lisa's from Arizona. And so Warren Schmidt was heading up the International Farm Youth Exchange at the time, right here, and I met him in the hall, and he said, I'm sorry, you can't be a IFE because Arizona doesn't have the program. So I put it aside, and I went back and got my degree in agricultural economics from the University of Arizona. Then I needed a job, and sure enough, Extension came through. And I served for a year as a 4-H agent in Yuma County. And while I was doing that, Warren Schmidt calls and says, Dan, we're putting together through the National 4-H Foundation, now called the Council, a project for the Peace Corps in Venezuela, 5 V clubs that are similar to 4-H clubs. Do you want to go? And I didn't hesitate. I'd only been on this job a year, which was one of the best jobs I ever had as a 4-H agent, but I decided I needed that experience. I wanted to go international and do something. So I did that for 2 years, and it was the best experience I've ever had, one of the best, and it set me up for my long-time career in agricultural banking. So I really want to pay tribute to Graham Wright, laureate, and Warren Schmidt, who will be part of this class of laureates. Both are deceased, but if I look back and I think of all the people who have contributed to my life and my experience in a career, these two gentlemen certainly have done that. And I thank you very much for attending tonight, and also I thank the task force for selecting me for this honor. Thank you.
A strong advocate of 4-H and family, Elaine Folk Marshall serves as a champion for North Carolina 4-H. Currently the North Carolina Secretary of State, Elaine started her 4-H career in Maryland, which provided her a foundation firmly grounded on the 4-H life skills. Growing up on an egg farm, Elaine learned early the importance of a strong family and community involvement. As an active 4-H member, she graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in textiles and headed to Belize as an international 4-H youth exchange delegate. Returning to the United States, Elaine taught home economics before enrolling at law school. Inspired by political office, Elaine served as a North Carolina senator before being elected 5 times as a Secretary of State. During her tenure as a member of the State Council, Elaine served as an advocate for 4-H and worked for $11.5 million appropriation for the 4-H camps. Elaine continues to model the values she learned through 4-H as she encourages future generations to make the best better. North Carolina 4-H is pleased to have nominated the Honorable Elaine Folk Marshall for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Elaine.
I have a vocal group of people here. Thank you all so very much. As you learned from my resume, it's been a little bit varied, and I didn't get to where I am all by myself. I've had an awful lot of help. I want to thank North Carolina 4-H for nominating me for this. The 3 most important people I need to thank are not here. They are Donald and Pauline Folk, my parents. Mom knew I needed to meet a little measure of success before I met failure. And my first projects were in sewing. She hovered over me, made sure I didn't miscut something. And as she sat beside the sewing machine, she said, "Too fast, too fast." She did all the ripping. She knew I needed to feel some success before I met frustration. She didn't give me her patience, but she did teach me perseverance. The other person is Arlene Wentz, who was my 4-H agent, who just passed away this summer at the age of 94. She was one of those wonderful 4-H club leaders who had a bubbly, shiny personality, sunshine everywhere, and she knew that we needed success. We had club success, we had team success, and we had individual success. And she was the kind of person that your project work would be a piece of junk, and you would be so happy after it was over, you were delighted to go do it again, because she knew about making the best better. I want to thank, I have a very small family, and most of them are here. I really appreciate my brother Bobby and his wife and family being here, and little Olivia and Kara, where are you all? The lights of our life right back there. And because my circle of life is Maryland to North Carolina, I've got friends from middle school, college, 4-H, professional friends here, all the people who have seen me through my challenges in life. My Secretary of State family is here also. Chief Deputy Rodney Maddox is here. He began with me in the Secretary of State's office in January of 1997 when we inherited a fragile, dysfunctional organization, and for the first 2 years, we couldn't even lift our heads up from the desk. I had to take a lot of my 4-H lessons and apply them to a very demoralized group of people to try to make them make the best better. And after about 2 years, we were able to look up, and that gave me the opportunity and the flexibility to do some things, other things for the betterment of the people of North Carolina. And thank you, Rodney, for having my back. You can do some extra things when you do have a good group of people supporting you. So at that point, I was able to invest a lot of my time in 4-H. With what I learned in 4-H and the friends I've developed in 4-H, I've been widowed. Those folks have carried me through the darkest parts of my life, and I'm incredibly thankful. I would not be where I am sitting as the first woman elected to executive office in the state I didn't grow up in if it wouldn't be for 4-H. I don't think about it every day, but I use those 4-H skills every day in the things that I do. We, as 4-H, as a youth organization, is absolutely the best program I know in developing life skills. We strive for excellence. The professional staff that trains the professional leaders and the volunteers can turn this into the greatest program, and have for over 100 years, where the core values have remained strong. But 4-H has refreshed itself by repackaging. Back then it was cattle and canning. Today it's life science and rocketry and whatever young people are interested in. But it's those core values of public speaking, leadership, and all the other things that we teach, character building skills in 4-H. I'm very pleased to share that. None of us can see the future, but I find tremendous challenges out there. I do get to travel around the world, and I've come to learn that intelligence is universal, but opportunities are limited. 4-H is the best at providing opportunities. That's why I continue to help raise money, provide opportunities in my office, create other opportunities out there, because farm girl from Maryland to go to Brazil as an IFFE, almost unheard of, a life-changing experience for me. And I want other 4-Hers to have some measure of the different life-changing experiences that I had. I'm distressed with what I see in America as a whole. Unfortunately, we've lost trust in many of the traditional institutions. The institutions of what I deal in, government, and public officials were held in very low regard. The institutions such as financial institutions, folks have lost trust. Folks have lost trust in religious institutions. Many folks have lost trust in law enforcement and our court system. 4-H is excellent at preserving families' trust. They're giving us their most precious asset, their children, for development. So I encourage us to make the 4-H program ever stronger. My parents trusted 4-H that I'd come back from South America, that I'd have a good experience, that I'd be healthy when I came back. My folks didn't know anything beyond our county, but they believed in 4-H. They trusted that 4-H agent that said, this is a good opportunity for Elaine, have her apply. So I've been blessed by my 4-H association and will continue to be blessed. My career goal in my growing up days was to be a 4-H agent, and I've never been a 4-H agent. I miss a lot of my goals sometimes, but 4-H allowed me to extend my vision for myself and my goals out there. So I feel I have a tremendous debt to pay back, and the way that I pay that back is to pay it forward with opportunities for others. Thank you all. This is a great honor. Thank you.
A pioneer in introducing challenge-based programming, outdoor education, and play to 4-H, Pat A. McNally, a veteran of the Kansas, Oklahoma, and Virginia 4-H programs, was not interested in a traditional pathway. With a doctorate in leisure services, Pat organized and led the first non-scout group to Philmont Scout Ranch in 1982. Since that initial trip to Philmont, Pat has taken hundreds of 4-H youth from Oklahoma, Kansas, and Virginia on this very same trip. She introduced the idea of adventure-based programming to 4-H through presentations at state, regional, and national meetings. While in Kansas, 4-H Ventures canoed the boundary waters in Minnesota, rafted the rapids of the Green River in Colorado and Utah, explored the natural wonders of Alaska, and backpacked the Pecos Wilderness in New Mexico. Additionally, as a member of the National 4-H Shooting Sports Committee from 1993 to 1999, Pat co-coordinated and team-taught several national certification workshops across the nation. Oklahoma 4-H is proud to have nominated Pat A. McNally to the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Let us salute Pat for her accomplishments.
I just have to say this. I'm so thrilled that I finally made the decision. After all those years of backpacking and canoeing and rafting and with aging and arthritis and all the above, in 2 months, I'm going to get a new left knee. And anyway, the reason I'm saying that to you is that it was quite a step to take for me to say that my body just isn't what it used to be. And that's what 4-H can do for us. It does so many things. And there's some wear and tear, and we have to take that along the way. Well, good evening, and it's an honor to be here and to be a part of the festivities and join the illustrious group of former laureates and to be amongst the ones tonight being recognized. I would say that for all of us in this room, we are passionate about what we do in 4-H, and it's all about youth development. But more than that, we're people builders. And we also focus on communities, community building. And that's one of the spin-offs from the 4-H program and experience that I think is so valuable. And I'd like to share with you that my 4-H career began long before I was even born. My McNally grandparents were instrumental in bringing the first extension agent to Woods County, Oklahoma, back when, in the early 20s, when extension was first started. They were volunteer leaders then, and I never did get to know my grandmother, McNally, and I barely knew Grandpa. But they set the stage for many of us in Oklahoma to continue to have some wonderful experiences. My parents were volunteer leaders, and I grew up in the 4-H program, and I'd like to spend just a little bit of time. We talk about being community builders, and that's what we do in 4-H too, not just youth development. The community that I grew up in the Gyp Hills of rural Kansas, southern Kansas, and we had a very, very powerful community of families that worked hard. They worked for each other, with each other, and we played. We took time to have Sunday evening picnics at the community park, 15 miles from town, and because town was a long ways at that time. And we worked hard, we played hard. And as a 4-H member, box suppers, anybody, if I say these words, I'd like to see, I'm doing a research project here. When I say the word box suppers, how many of you might know what that means? Raise your hands proudly. Okay. All right. Those of you who were involved in Christmas caroling, riding in the back of a 1950s vintage farm truck with stock racks covered with a tarp, going to your neighbors out, we covered 30, 40 miles that evening because it was a very rural area. If you had that opportunity, please raise your hand. Oh, yay. I see several of you. Woohoo. All right. Another research project is, how many of you sang, "She wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini" on your way to a foods project meeting? Yeah. Or you just sang this song. All right. Well, that's the era that I grew up in, square dancing and model meetings and making at least a cajillion dozen cherry pies before the county cherry pie baking contest. Learning how to be a song leader and directing 1, 2, 3, 1. You know, those things, those skills, as a 4-H song leader, my first office in the 4-H club, have stuck with me. But more than anything else, community building has stuck with me. And I'm going to take it from there to the National 4-H Agents Association. Errol alluded to the fact that he kept busy trying to keep the budget under control. And Errol, I remember so well, the letter that I sent to you said, hey, I really got money. I got a good deal on an air flight one time. And that was when I was serving as one of the officers for NEAE, 4-HA. We had been at National 4-H Congress. It was a hard week. We worked hard. We met long time meetings, and we met donors. And I was tired when I got on that nonstop flight from Chicago to Wichita. Really tired. I fell asleep immediately. And I didn't hear the flight attendants, give the normal spiel about the oxygen and where that plane was headed. And when I woke up, it was 45 minutes past the time I'm supposed to be in Kansas, in Wichita. And the ground was white and rugged below me. And I knew I wasn't in Kansas anymore. I was on my way, a nonstop flight to Spokane, Washington. 4 hours. 4 hours in which I had an opportunity. Oh gosh, I see the red card. Okay, there's more to the story. There's more to the story. But I got a first-class ticket out of that. Coming back to Chicago didn't cost the association anything. But in the meantime, what I wanted to emphasize, I had a tremendous opportunity to do some marketing and PR work to the flight attendants and the pilot, because it was the same crew that flew from Chicago back to Spokane, back to Chicago. You never know when those marketing and PR opportunities will pop up, and you can tell the 4-H story, no matter how high in the air you might be. So with that said, gosh, there's so much more to say, but one of the things I want to end up with, just right quick, on one of my backpacking crews, taking our 4-Hers to Philmont, the trails are tough and the elevation is there and you're running out of oxygen, and the kids on the crew are saying, how much further? When are we going to get to our next destination? And one of my early crew leaders, Hank Reeves, he had this little thing that he would tell his fellow teens was, it's just around the corner. It's just around the corner. He didn't say which corner. It's just around the corner. And I have, since that time, used that statement, that phrase, so many, many times. And I believe firmly that none of us really know how far it is to our next destination, but we know it's around the corner. And it's our job in the world of 4-H, youth development, adult development, and community development, to know that good things will happen just around the corner. So thank you. I know I'm out of time, so thank you.
Emmy Nelson, or affectionately known as Miss Emmy, was a trailblazer of the National Committee on Boys and Girls Club work. Hired as one of the country's first 4-H field representatives in 1945, Emmy's role was to implement county, state, and national record-keeping, award recognition, and leadership training. Emmy was successful in building a solid and critical link between donors and 4-H. Counseling sponsors on learning the 4-H objectives and articulating back to 4-H the private sector's interest in lifelong skills developed through 4-H activities. It was Emmy that assisted all state and county extension programs with leadership training to encourage the understanding of the National 4-H Award Program standards, criteria, and process. A former Georgia 4-H member and home demonstration agent, Emmy is fondly remembered as a tireless professional who worked to recognize 4-H achievements and strengthen the public-private partnerships. The National 4-H Council is honored to have nominated Emmy Nelson for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Dr. Davis Nelson, great-nephew of Emmy Nelson, accepts on her behalf this evening. Congratulations. Let us all show gratitude for this wonderful night.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, but my wife and I did not meet at 4-H camp. But I will let you know that our youngest daughter was in 4-H, and Georgia 4-H has never been the same since. Miss Emmy, as he shared with you the way she was called, never married, but she was married to 4-H. That was her life. She passed away in 1988, having lived a full and remarkable life and leaving a legacy for generations to come. Now, if you look at the picture in the program, you see a petite, small lady. She would have difficulty seeing above this podium, but don't let that fool you. She was full of life and fire. She was born in New Harley, Georgia in 1900. New Harley was an Indian name, and people used to joke you hardly see it when you drove through it. But it was one of her favorite places. She was one of 13 children, and as a child, she was a member of Girls Club. This was before 4-H, and she was a proud member of Girls Club, but she dearly loved 4-H. She received degrees from the University of Georgia, Cornell University, Colorado University, and the University of Maryland. So you can see she didn't stay in North Georgia. She traveled and worked for 4-H in many different locations. At the age of 23, she finished her first degree, and this was about the time that women got the right to vote. She took that right very seriously, as she did women having a right to a career. As you have heard, that she was involved in many ways in 4-H, but I want to tell you a little bit about this lady. She was a lady of character, style, and always ahead of her time. She was great to be around and had the best wit. She made everyone happy around her. She retired in 1969 and returned to her home community of Harley. She came back to revive a city that was her hometown. She worked tirelessly to safeguard the historical buildings and culture of that community, and she recharted the city government and later serving on the city council. Now, she was a unique young lady. At that time, she was older. But that didn't let that stop her. As the bulldozers were lined up to demolish the covered bridge, the sacred covered bridge of Harley, she stood in front of that bulldozer and dared them to move another inch. Little short lady, big bulldozer. Now, all the years that, as everyone knew, Miss Emmy worked for 4-H, she always, as her mother taught her, made sure her hair was fixed perfect. But when she retired, that changed. Now remember, this is 1969. She went out and bought a wig. There was nothing wrong with her hair. She was tired of fixing it. So as she stood, and it never got on straight because she was always in a hurry, as she stood in front of that bulldozer and shaking her head and finger, the wig shook too. And the wig came off, and the bulldozer shut down. That was the way she operated. She loved life. She was serious about what she did, and she put her whole heart and life into it. Her community honored her by naming a library after her, and at the end of this program, Elizabeth and I will carry all the artifacts from this program back and put in the Emmy Nelson Library so that the whole community can enjoy what we've enjoyed here this evening. Thank you.
With an endless capacity to help people develop their potential, Anna Mickey Peters of Pennsylvania has worked with more than 500 4-H club members through 50 years of volunteering with 4-H. An active octogenarian, Mickey coaches more than 30 volunteers she recently recruited. Throughout her lifetime, Mickey has worked tirelessly to ensure that 4-H will continue forever. In 1986, Mickey was awarded the National 4-H Salute to Excellence Award and continues to give back to 4-H. In 1991 and 2004, when Pennsylvania hosted the Northeast Regional Volunteer Forum, Mickey contributed her time and energy training new and long-term 4-H volunteers. A mother of 5 children and wife of a dairyman, Mickey has always been there for the kids and puts their interests first. Some might find her pushy at times, but that is only for encouragement. As one 4-H member has said, she truly has helped me to make the best better. Pennsylvania 4-H is proud to have nominated Anna Mickey Peters for the National 4-H Hall of Fame.
Good evening and hello to everybody. And I want to congratulate all the other laureates, and I'm very grateful for family and friends have come to honor. What a humbling experience. First off, I need to mention that certainly I did not receive this honor on my own. There were many other hands that helped me to do the things that were necessary. I thank my Heavenly Father to give me the strength and courage, Clarence, my dear late husband, my 5 children, my 7 grandchildren, 4-H members, leaders, cooperative extension personnel, Pennsylvania State 4-H leaders, friends, and many other family members. Again, I thank my family, and I'm proud of them, and so many of them are leaders, and all my 7 grandchildren were 4-Hers and are involved. But I was blessed to be born and raised on a family farm in central Pennsylvania, where I lived with my parents and my 5 older siblings. My mother was a 4-H home leader, so needless to say, I didn't have much other choice but to be involved with 4-H and have been there for quite a lot of years. But I learned many values and responsibilities, various skills in the serving and caring for others. Clarence and I were married in 1951, and in 1954, we purchased a dairy farm and raised our family. In 1968, Clarence and I were asked to organize a county 4-H beef breeding and feeding club, and also for a local 4-H riflery club. I also was a leader with community clubs, and we were advisors for county council, teen league council for several years. We also were involved in organizing the fundraiser for the 4-H endowment in Center County, and which is now over $300,000 for it. I was a stay-at-home mom until 1971, when I employed as a secretary at Penn State University for 20 years. I've also served on the county and state 4-H and cooperative extension committees and helped various officers' positions. I also served on a township planning committee, elected to township supervisor in the regional board. I have volunteered for the Center County Grange Fair, and am currently a board member and have been there for 20 years. And I'm the general livestock superintendent and the chair for beef and sheep departments. It's been a privilege to be with the 4-H program. Sure, there were and are challenges and perplexed issues, but there are many positive and enjoyable times. I trust I have been helped young individuals through their 4-H experiences and opportunities. I did my best to provide guidance, educational resources, and life skills developments. I especially enjoyed seeing them grow in confidence and work to their potential. I believe in the future of 4-H program, and I am very grateful to be part of it. Remember to make the best better. I treasure the memories. And again, I thank the good Lord and all my family for friends, and especially for the National Association of Extension 4 Agents and my nominator station. It's been a great ride and a journey. Take care and God bless.
I think Jeanette's coming. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy announced his commitment to start the Peace Corps. Warren E. Schmidt, then director of the International Program for the National Club Foundation, took action to create and expand opportunities around the world with rural development and youth education emphasis. When the Peace Corps was being considered, he testified before Congress, resulting in a partnership between Peace Corps and 4-H. Under his guidance, the first contract was negotiated between 4-H and the Peace Corps for expanding direct educational opportunities. Warren recruited and supervised 55 volunteers with extension and 4-H experience for expanding the first cooperative 4-H 5S Peace Corps project with the Brazilian Extension Service. His efforts were successful in Brazil, and the outcome led to additional 4-H Peace Corps contracts in Venezuela, Uruguay, and Sarawak, and later with El Salvador. 4-H was more than a career for Warren. It was his passion. National 4-H Council is honored to have nominated Warren E. Schmidt for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. His son Roger will accept his award this evening. Let us extend our congratulations to the entire Schmidt family.
Thank you. This is a great honor. I'm proud to accept this honor. And in behalf of my father, I only wish he could be here. My parents met through 4-H in Wisconsin at the state fair in Wisconsin, where my mother was showing horses. She got first place, by the way. My father continued. They both graduated from the University of Wisconsin. His thesis was rural youth organizations. They ended up getting married, and the war started, and he went off to war. And after coming back from the war, he went and got his graduate degree at the University of Ohio, where he was the state 4-H leader. And then he was offered job working with IFE here in Washington, and our family moved here in, I think it was 1949, and I have a lot of memories of this building. My father would bring our whole family here to help stuff envelopes, and we would spend many Saturdays putting things together to be sent out to IFE projects around the country. I was here in 1959 when President Eisenhower cut the ribbon for the grand opening, and I remember I was 11 years old, and I remember after the whole ceremony was over and everyone left, I went up on the stage and made sure that I sat in every chair on the stage so that I could be sure that I sat in the chair that President Eisenhower had sat in. But anyway, we have a lot of fond memories here. My father would bring home people from around the world through the IFE program to have dinner at our house. I remember one time when he invited 50 people for dinner, and my mother was pulling her hair out trying to get all this together, and they worked very hard to produce a meal that was from the country where the people were from, and they said they were so grateful that somebody cared enough to give them food from their home countries. I remember working with the Peace Corps projects, and after that, we ended up, he got a job with the UN, working with the Food and Agricultural Organization, and we moved to Italy. And growing up, I just never realized the significance of all the things that he was accomplishing and the people that he was meeting. And it never occurred to me that meeting presidents and kings and princes and things like that were unusual, because that was just happening in my family all the time, it seemed. I remember one day coming back from school, and this was in Rome, and he walked up to me with a big smile on his face, and he put out his hand and he said, "Shake the hand that shook the hand of the Pope," which was quite interesting anyway. We had a really interesting life, and I really appreciated all the things that he was able to provide for me and my family. There was, at one point, we were always traveling, our whole family, and there were 5 of us in the family, and I remember thinking that, wow, this is really interesting. There are 5 of us in the family, and right now we were on 5 different continents. I was in Africa, my father was in Asia, my mother was in Europe, my sister was in the United States, and my brother was in the Peace Corps in South America. And that was just a very strange feeling. But anyway, this is a great honor, and thank you very much.
The phrase, "It's time to take a risk," is the battle cry heard by the Michigan 4-H professionals under Dr. Michael J. Tate's guidance. A charismatic and visionary leader, who approaches life as a call to action and frames challenges as opportunities, Mike embraces the importance of the land-grant philosophy of extending knowledge to the people. Raised in Detroit, Mike served for 26 years in Michigan 4-H, from local extension 4-H agent to state 4-H program leader, working to provide opportunities for all youth, including those born in low-income communities and other disadvantaged situations that can prevent them from developing to their maximum potential. Under Mike's administrative watch, Michigan 4-H led the nation in urban programming. In 1998, Mike moved to Washington State University as the Associate Dean and Associate Director of Cooperative Extension, later becoming the Dean, plus a part-time appointment with the United States Department of Agriculture. Currently, he is the Chief Diversity Officer and Professor in the Department of Human Development. Michigan 4-H is pleased to have nominated Michael J. Tate for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Please join me in congratulating him tonight.
Oh boy, wow, what an evening. Congratulations to fellow laureates, lifetime of dedication to the greatest resource, the best resource that we have in our country, and that's our young people. I want to thank the National Association of 4-H agents for your support. I want to thank the headquarters, the national headquarters at USDA, the National Institute for Food and Agriculture, and then of course, the National 4-H Council for your support, the task force, the selection committee. When this happened to me, I didn't know anything about it. It was a total surprise, but a very, very, very pleasant surprise. You know, I was not a part of 4-H, but in my life, at the age of 6 years old, our teacher told us as she was dismissing us from school for the summer that there will be some 4-H Michigan State University youth that would meet us the next week and teach us how to plant a garden. And I was excited about that because one of the things you do in Detroit on Sundays after church is what do? You take a ride in the country. And I would always see this corn, and I never saw corn up close. So we were going to raise corn. So make a long story short, the 4-H members from Michigan State University met us. We did our thing in the dirt, and planted and all of that. And then our group, we went home. Well, as we were walking home, we said, tomorrow we're going to have corn. Wow! So at 9 in the morning, now imagine this now, 7 6-year-olders walking down the street. We had to walk to school, and we were so excited, we knew we were going there, and then we got there, and there was no corn. There was nothing but the dirt that we put it in, put the seeds in. So that was my first experience with 4-H. But that led to a whole lot of other things. I want to thank a group of people here. First of all, my family, and there's too many of them here to thank individually. I'm glad you're here. I love all of you. I have 3 generations of family represented here, including Michael Jerome Tate III, wherever he is right now with his mother. He's going, okay. But I particularly want you to meet my wife, Winifred Ann Tate, who's sitting over here. Now, she's only 4'11", but she is a powerhouse, okay? That keeps, thank you. That keeps me under control, because imagine living with me. Wow. Every day is a new adventure. Every day is satisfying. Yeah, I see that. I got it going. Okay, so next, and I just got to tell you, this was one quick story. We bought our first house in East Lansing, Michigan. We had 2 little kids at that time. Our son and our daughter are both here. And right after we moved in, I left for a month. I went to Belize to start 4-H. And the neighbors thought I was a sugar daddy. That's a true story, and my wife will tell you more about that. Now, I have friends and colleagues here from Michigan State University, and there's one person I must recognize because I would not be standing here if she was not my nominator, and that's Judy Rackos, who's sitting somewhere. Where's Judy? Judy Ray. Oh, there you are. She did this. And Judy, I will forever be thankful to you for a whole lot of things. Judy is in charge of one of the largest state 4-H programs in this country. It's called Michigan 4-H Exploration Days, and we have something close to 5,000 young people, something like that. Some big number. Is it more than that? So anyway, that come to campus and they do their thing. We have all kinds of education. And she's been in charge of it how many years? 32 years. And I hired her. It's really, that's really great. Then the last one among my colleagues is Mr. William Mills. One of our mottos, you can clap, yeah. One of our mottos was making the best better. Well, we wanted to make those in greatest need the best. Mr. Mills spent all of his career working in Detroit, a very difficult community. Now, I know they're standing behind me. You know what that means? That means it's time to stop. I wanted to say I stand between you and the end of this program and what? Dinner, food. Again, I am so humbled, so grateful for this honor. It's been a marvelous career. I want to say just quickly, I've had my mother and my father in my heart and my mind. They are no longer with us. My father used to say to us kids, whatever you do, be the best, even if it's wrong. My mother would say, and my mother would say to us, find your passion. Find your passion and go after it. And always remember, besides the Heavenly Father, people is what will make the difference in our world. Thank you all very much for this honor.
Congratulations to all the laureates we've honored this evening. What amazing stories and uplifting words of wisdom. Each and every one of you has contributed so much to the 4-H movement. Thank you all so very much. As we wind down our ceremonies, let us again listen to Elena as she sings Young at Heart.
And if you should survive to 105, look at all you'll derive out of being alive. And here is the best part, you have a head start if you are among the very young at
Thank you very much, Elena, for that amazing performance. Can we have one more round of applause for Elena and her wonderful voice? As we close this evening, the National 4-H Hall of Fame ceremony, let us once more congratulate the 2014 National 4-H Hall of Fame laureates. Laureates, will you please stand and be recognized one more time? Thank you so much for your countless hours and devotion to making the best better. You may now be seated. Before we are dismissed for our delicious reception this evening, let us please thank our photographers and video technician, Edwin Remsburg, for capturing the special moments for all of you this evening. Also, Mr. Dan Tabler for catching our more casual celebration for us. Those sponsoring the videotaping, Dr. Mike Davis family, 4-H Endowment for Innovation and Excellence, Dr. Nancy Bohl, Steve and Carla Fisher, Janet and Larry Hiller, Jeff Holland, and Bill and Irma Riley. Jeffries Green World and Florist for the boutonnieres and corsages. The lapel pin sponsored by A&T Industries. 4-H National Headquarters contribution for the memory books and the awards reception by the National 4-H Council. Additionally, we would like to thank the 3 National 4-H Hall of Fame partners, the National 4-H Council, the 4-H National Headquarters, and the National Association of Extension 4-H Agents for their efforts in organizing this ceremony tonight, which has been a wonderful ceremony, in my opinion. Friends and family, we invite you to please join the Class of 2014 National 4-H Hall of Fame members at the reception upstairs with entertainment provided by another talented young 4-H member from Louisiana, Hunter John Lambert, a 17-year-old accomplished classical violinist. However, before you dive in, laureates, we would please invite you to come up to the stage one more time for a group photo. Thank you all for your attention, and I hope you the best of evenings.